turn on your notification bell, you will still get those information you are looking for.
Biafra agitation. Police to pay 50 million naira to Mazi Solomon Onyebole. Now, as the court has directed, Justice Z.B. Abaka of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered for the unconditional release of Mazi Solomon Onyebole. Yes, one of the supporters of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Onyebole. Yes, and so the lawyer, talking about IPOB lawyer, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, said this in a statement he issued on Tuesday evening. Yes, accompanied by the certified true copy of the judgment, he said, I quote, while delivering judgment in suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/137/2022 we had filed on behalf of Solomon Onyebole, the court directed the Inspector General of Police to unconditionally release Mazi Onyebole from their custody forthwith. The court further awarded the sum of 50 million naira only in favor of Solomon Onyebole as compensatory and exemplary damages. The court also ordered the Inspector General of Police tenders a public apology to Mazi Solomon in one national newspaper. We shall keep doing everything within our powers to ensure that Chineke, unlawfully detained in various facilities of the security agencies across the country, are released and compensated for their unlawful arrests and detentions. That is the statement, yes, of the IPOB lawyer, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, on this issue, yes. So why this is very important is that the IPOB members, agitators that have been clamped in detention facilities across Nigeria, they're not being left on card or, to rot in detention or in jail. Concerted efforts are being put up to make sure that they're being released. So the families should not feel abandoned. Yes. And that is it. So this is another one. A big victory to the IPOB family. Yes. Unconditional release and the payment of 50 million naira ransom that the police should pay. So all these things are there. The police and the government of Nigeria and other agencies of government in this country, they have been allowed themselves, to continue to accumulate this court, these awards of fine, if you like, fine. They have been accumulating fine, 100 billion naira, 50 million, so much money they have been accumulating in various ways, talking about the Biafra agitation, everything. The court has been fining this government and the agencies, and most of them they have not paid. In fact, they have not paid anyone. But they will pay it. They will pay it. There's no escape route. They are trying to trivialize the competent court of jurisdiction or the court of law in this country. So the court said this Solomon Onyebole, Mazi Solomon Onyebole, should be released unconditionally and 50 million naira be paid for exemplary damages and compensation. And apology must be rendered in the National Daily newspaper. Alright? So Onyendu said, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor said they visited Onyendu at DSS headquarters as their routine visit. And look at what he said concerning that visit. And he said, we visited Onyendu being Monday, December 12, 2022 at the DSS headquarters Abuja to provide him with relevant updates on pending actions on the appeal filed by the federal government of Nigeria at the Supreme Court against the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which discharged and prohibited further detention and or trial or prosecution of Onyendu Mazamdekano. We observed in the course of our briefing that apart from the fact that it is glaring, even in layman's view, that the federal government has practically abandoned the appeal by their deliberate refusal to file any court process in prosecuting the appeal, which they initiated against the judgment of the Court of Appeal. There is the need to let the world know, as directed by Onyendu, that those presently responsible for the delay in assigning a date for the speedy hearing of this appeal before the Apex Court are the same people or institutions who are relentlessly funding the criminal activities of the soulless elements who are fully paid to destroy our sacred land. Otherwise, the expeditious hearing of this appeal will determine the release or freedom of Onyendu and will leave the criminal elements with no other option than to immediately vacate or desert our land. Onyendu encourages everyone, most particularly foreign governments and institutions, to prevail on the judiciary to assign a date for the hearing of his appeal. Onyendu did not rule out plausible pressure from those who have been decimated in their own court, but he is insisting that justice must be done and seen to be done in his case. Onyendu cited the instance where the court was expeditious in granting an order staying the execution of his judgment given by the same court, but made a volte-face when it comes to giving equal speedy attention to the assignment of dates in hearing of appeal at the Apex Court. In conclusion, Onyendu expressed firm confidence in the ability of his erudite legal team, ably led by the man of letters, our indefatigable Chief Michael Zekamese, and our ability to beat the federal government of Nigeria in their own game again. Onyendu appreciated millions of his followers for not letting him down, particularly on his directive that the purported sit-at-home order, ordered by the unknown enemies of our land, was never obeyed. Onyendu directed that the criminals who are still on rampage, ostensibly being funded by the enemies of his peaceful movement, in their desperate bid to ensure that our land is completely destroyed, should be fished out from their hideouts. Onyendu further requested that Omo-Chineke should monitor the modus operandi of these soulless beings and discreetly smoke them out from their various hideouts. Onyendu roundly condemned the spate of wanton and mindless killings and destructions carried out by these criminal elements. He deeply commiserates with those who lost their lives and all their properties during these attacks. May Ezigbo Omo-Chineke be reminded once again of the pains Onyendu is daily being subjected to for the emancipation of his people. Do not forget in haste that this great servant of his people daily ingests over 10 tablets of drugs, which drugs rarely come true as and when needed. Some days the DSS ignores his request and abandons him for days before coming back to him with the said medication. It is therefore incomprehensible that Onyendu's advice could be roundly flouted and or ignored by these elements who claim to be acting in his interest, which situation calls for in-depth scrutiny of these soulless beings with a view to determining whether Igbo blood actually runs in their veins. Onyendu remains profoundly grateful for your uncommon solidarity, love, and loyalty, even as he continues to urge you all to remain law-abiding as you have always demonstrated. That's the statement of Biafra Ejiofor. Yes, after the routine visit, talking about what Onyendu said. Alright, and so that is what we just relayed. Statement of Onyendu through the IPOB lawyer, Biafra Ejiofor. And that is it. So the federal government is foot-dragging in the appeal, and that is why we said they should do it expeditiously, because the wanton killings and destruction in the southeast is a result of the federal government's refusal to obey the court judgment. The well-meaning Igbos have said it. Immediately the judgment was given that the government should obey the law. They should obey the court judgment by releasing Onyendu unconditionally. Yes, unconditionally, immediately. So, to forestall further deterioration of security in the southeast. But they were adamant. The federal government. And all these things happening in the southeast and the crisis. When you say the federal government is responsible, I don't think anybody should say otherwise, because it is obvious that they are responsible for all this crisis happening in the southeast as we're speaking. If there's any loss of lives, go ahead, federal government is responsible. We have said it. Any killing that happens is government of Nigeria should be held responsible. Deaths, burning of houses, crisis, federal government should be held responsible. As simple as that.